So, hi, I'm so Wilson, I'm 11, and today I'm joined by someone who's building one of the most exciting, most heritage-centred, and one of the most brilliant Welsh fashion brands out there. The founder of Cambrensis, Ioan Bowen Pickett. So, thanks for coming on today, Ioan.
Thank you very much for having me, Saul. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Thank you. And how would you like me to address you? Ioan, Mr. Bowen Pickett, Ioan Bowen Pickett. How would you like me to address you?
Just Ioan is absolutely fine.
Perfect. And so, tell me a bit about growing up in South Wales. What were those earlier years like?
So, I've lived here all my life. I'm Cardiff born and bred. And yeah, I don't want to leave, to be honest with you. I can't see myself living elsewhere. Both of my parents are from the valleys, so I've grown up with stories of Welsh history, Welsh working class history as well, and that's what's ingrained in me.
Sick. What was creative and design always around you, or was it from your older age? Did you was it creative and design, or was it younger age, like my age? Was it creative and design?
Yeah. So I was always the kid in school who was the creative one, the one who loved art. As long as I can remember, I've always been into drawing, always. And I know exactly where it's come from. So my late great uncle, Ioan Bowen, was a well-known artist from Merthyr Tydfil in the valleys. And his personality and character was just so influential to everyone that met him. He had so much energy and so much passion for not only art, but raising people up, making them feel good and making them feel of use, for sure. And he was so passionate about Welsh history, Welsh heritage. And yeah, that's where my creative influences come from, really. So, for example, we've got all of his archive now, because he passed away in 2021, unfortunately. So we've got all of his archive back at home. So I'm so lucky at the moment that I'm able to pick and choose stuff that he's created art-wise now, of Welsh heritage pieces, and I'm now using them within my work. So, for example, this T-shirt behind me, which of course the people listening on the radio won't be able to hear, his artwork here is now on our latest collection. But yeah, ever since I can remember, I've been drawing, and I've had a talent, I've been gifted, so I want to put it to good use, really, and to get the most out of it.
Epic. And was it school when fashion first got your attention, or was it more recent years did it get your attention?
Yeah, it's quite an interesting one, because I think my earliest memory of getting into fashion and being really interested by it was, I remember being in primary school and discovering Adidas trainers which had city names just above the three stripes. Yeah. And for some reason I was really fascinated by that.
Wow.
So I think that was my first memory of that, really. And then obviously, as I was saying, I've always been into drawing, into art, so those two things really come hand in hand. But the way that I genuinely and full force got into fashion was definitely through following my football team, Cardiff City, and seeing a lot of older supporters wearing clothes that I'd never seen before, because the people around me, such as my family, weren't into those sort of labels and styles and shapes. So that was my education within fashion, I suppose. So,
were you the only one in your family who was interested in fashion per se?
Yeah, 1,000,000%. My grandmother was a seamstress, but I suppose that was sort of a very common job back in those times. But yeah, apart from that, no one in my family has been into fashion, so it's all come from myself, really.
Yeah, epic. And did you always imagine you start your own brand? Like, was it your family? Obviously, was it your grandma being a seamstress?
Funny enough, no. It's all come from me. I'd be lying if I said to you that I haven't always wanted to have my own label. I remember saying from a very young age, I want to, 13, 14, 15, I want to have my own label, put my own stamp on design, and I suppose promote my vision through clothes.
And did you always think it'd be Welsh heritage centred, or was it always maybe something else you would reach out to?
I think it's always been about Welsh heritage, because that's all I know. My family's all from the Welsh valleys, and it's literally all I know. So it was always going to be surrounded by Wales in some way. So for example, I'm sure we'll go into this later, but our logo, which is the Welsh miner's lamp, that took me 6 months to come up with, working every single day, because I wanted an icon that for me was perfect and represented our vision, well, my vision of Welsh heritage in South Wales. And I then stumbled across the miner's lamp that I've grown up with, through visiting grandparents, etc., in the Welsh valleys. And yeah, it's all sort of come together really nicely, but it's through hard work for sure.
So following Welsh heritage then, Cambrensis means of Wales in Latin. What made you choose Latin as the language for the definition of Wales?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that it's kind of along the lines of what I just touched on then, with the miner's lamp. So for example, just for a bit of context, as I was saying, the miner's lamp design took me 6 months to come up with, working every single day.
Yep.
I'd go to Cardiff Library every other day, no lie, looking for inspiration, something to give me an idea of a graphic that I could create to represent the brand. And once I had the icon, which was after visiting Cardiff Library and scrolling through a book of Big Pitt, and it was just a moment of, yes, that's the icon right there. I was then looking for a name that would match perfectly with the icon, but also represent our vision of Welsh heritage. And I'm a Welsh speaker myself. I'm a proud Welsh speaker, but the Welsh language is a very hard language. There's a lot of big words, a lot of difficult words, a lot of difficult letters, and I feel like from where I was approaching the design and the vision, I didn't feel a Welsh word would work based on pronunciation, and as I was saying, how hard the Welsh language can be. And obviously I was saying my thoughts and struggles to my mum, who is a Welsh teacher, who's 1000% installed stories of Welsh history and Welsh heritage to me, and she's the reason I'm a Welsh speaker. She came up with the name Cambrensis, which means, as you say, which means of Wales in Latin. I just think it works really well.
Epic. And so, oeddwn chi efo beth meddwl instead o Cambrensis, wneud of Wales mewn Cymraeg?
Efallai, dwi ddim yn siŵr really. Dwi'n meddwl mae'n gweithio.
Class. And for the people who don't speak Welsh, I was just asking you, and would he ever think about making of Wales but in Welsh instead of Latin? But so maybe. But
Efallai, maybe.
Yeah. And so it's time for the first song now.
Special people change. How many lives are living strange? Where were you while we were getting high? Slowly walking down the hall, faster than a cannonball. Where were you while we were getting high? Someday you will find me caught beneath the landslide, in a champagne supernova in the sky. Someday you will find me caught beneath the landslide, in a champagne supernova, a champagne supernova in the sky. Up the dawn and ask her why. A dream, she never dies. Wipe that tear away now from your eye. Slowly walking down the hall, faster than a cannonball. Where were you while we were getting high? Someday you will find me caught beneath living strange. Where were you while we were getting high? Slowly walking down the hall, faster than a cannonball. Where were you while we were getting high? Someday you will find me covered in the landslide, and the champagne supernova in the sky. Someday you will find me covered in the landslide, and the champagne supernova, the champagne supernova. 'Cause people believe that they're gonna get away for the summer. But you and I will live in time. The world's still spinning round. We don't know how many special people change. How many lives are living strange. Where were you while we were getting high? We were getting high. 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 We were getting
So that was the first song chosen by Ioan himself. But I was going to ask now, how do your ideas begin? Do you sketch it first? Do you do the research first? Or is it, right, here's the story I've been told. This is, now I want to make an idea of it.
It's a really good question. I think if you asked me that question, 5 years ago, I would have said, design the product first, and then we'll think of the rest later, which I'm now realising doesn't work for what we're trying to achieve. So nowadays, and in recent times, I'm always thinking of the concept first. So for example, in February, we hosted Wales' biggest ever fashion show. There was 250 people there, which was absolutely amazing. And the theme was celebrating the 40th anniversary of the Welsh miners' strikes. So we designed jackets and t-shirts that had images of miners on there and collieries. So for me, at this current moment, It's about coming up with the concept first of what I want to achieve and the storytelling. And then I think the product is a second after that, and the design process and the sketching. But that's not to say that won't be the case every single time as well. You know, it just depends on what I want to achieve. So, for example, now bit of insight for you, where I'm looking at doing a small capsule collection as soon as possible, really, where we create jackets and maybe like an overshirt / jumper that's fully waterproof, and I want the story to be about how our products, our fabrics, deal with the horrific Welsh weather. So I think that's sort of what I want to do next, and do a really nice campaign, you know, on a mountain in the valleys or something, you know. So yeah, but as I said, it depends on what I want to create, really.
I can definitely picture that. I mean, when that does come up, I probably will be one of your first customers, because I can imagine.
Thank you very much.
And it probably would be very helpful for a lot of people in the Welsh valleys.
Yeah, I think
to experience that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's something that we haven't really done before as well, and it's our products. Like, for example, this jacket I'm wearing here. No word of a lie, it's one of the warmest jackets I've ever worn in my life, and we need to just prove that. Do you know what I'm saying?
And do you start with the history of a place, the fabric, or the silhouette?
Yeah, I think I've sort of touched on that in the last answer. I think, it just depends on what we're trying to do, really. So, for example, now, as you'd know, I'm sure, we try to name all of our own collections after a place in Wales, and to really tell the story of that location through the garments and through the visual identity, whether that's videos or photos. I think, it's such a tough one, in the sense of when we are choosing a place, you know, we need to choose somewhere that we're able to execute the storytelling really well, to respect the area, you know, and for the locals to be like, yeah, fair play, they've done that really well.
Yeah.
So at the moment now, we're in the process of planning the next few years, really. And me being a designer, I want to keep designing, and unfortunately at the moment my job is more than that. It's running the whole business, it's doing the financial side of things, which I absolutely hate, but I've got to do. But you know, if it was up to me right now, I'd be designing all day, every single day. You know, I want to be able to do full collections and do big events to go alongside with them, because it's what it's all about, and people can see that, people can feel it, and it's authentic. And I think that's one really cool thing about us, is I think people really can see our authenticity and can see that it's real and something that's definitely happening and going somewhere, I'd like to think. So
cool.
Yeah.
And obviously we're in a beautiful brand new head office. What does a day in the Cambrensis studio look and feel like?
Yeah, at the moment it's a bit mad. I'm trying to sort of, this is me just being real now, I'm trying to just keep my head above water, really, to keep going, because this industry is so tough. You know, anyone who is in this game, in fashion or anything similar, will tell you it's so hard, because, you know, it's niche stuff, it's stuff that people don't necessarily need in some ways. And at the end of the day, you know, we're competing against the big brands, they're our competitors, you know. And I would say that our price point is very fair for what it is, because if it had a different label from someone more established on there, I can guarantee you know the price would be at least 2, 3, 4, 5 times as much. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So yeah, at the moment it's just keeping going, really, and trying to keep on top of everything, which is, you know, we've got a few people that are involved in the brand now, making sure that they're doing what they need to do, as well as being ambitious ourselves, find opportunities for new events, you know, to bring money into the brand. Because at the end of the day, it's all money. If we've got no money, we can't design, we can't keep this place. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's at the moment. It's just a bit of everything, and just trying to keep moving forward positively.
Yeah. And I think we should just get straight back into it. So obviously, every collection is named after a place in Wales. Obviously, we touched on that earlier. But how do you choose these places? Are they something important to you, or is just looking around and choosing a place?
Yeah, absolutely. The place has to fit our vision. At the end of the day, it's down to me, really. You know, I'm the person who drives this ship, really. So, for example, the 2 places that we've covered at the moment, in Wales anyway, are Merthyr and Barry. I live in Barry at the moment, so that's why that was chosen. And away from that, it's got one of the biggest coal histories in the world. At one point, it was the biggest coal dock in the world. I'm pretty sure the first £1 million deal was ever done in Barry.
Wow.
I'm pretty sure, and it used to provide the world with a massive amount of electricity as well. I'm pretty certain. So yeah, there's a huge history there in terms of Barry, and then my mum's side of the family is all from Merthyr, and Merthyr speaks for itself in terms of Welsh history. We've done so much stuff up there recently, including a new brand mascot within the brand called the Little Collier. That's been a really cool campaign to do, and the idea behind that was to raise money for children's charities. That's been really successful, and the campaign was all shot in Merthyr. So yeah, it's just got to be a place that aligns with our vision, and somewhere that's easily accessible and has a good story.
Cool. And following that, you say how you're going to hopefully really soon waterproof coats. Well, a fully waterproof coat for the Welsh weather. Have you ever thought of any names for that yet, or do you think that's like a last resort?
I think in terms of a place name for that or anything like that, maybe it would be away from a place name. I'm thinking at the moment, again, this is all exclusive for you guys, you know what I mean? You're the first people to hear this. This has all sort of happened this week, and I just need to get down and design now. I think it's going to be as I was saying, a pure collection about, showing how our garments feel against the Welsh weather. But I'm thinking about potentially having our Little Collier design, which is over there. You're welcome to go grab one over there, so if you want to show the camera. It's just the one on top there, the white t-shirt.
Perfect. There. This one?
Yeah, that's the one.
Okay.
So that's the Little Collier on there. So I was thinking about having this embroidered on the jacket. I think that would be really cool. It's got a really cool story behind it as well.
Yeah.
I think it's something you don't really see. So
no, that is sick. Obviously, you don't really see a kid smoking a pipe these days.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And with his little mindless lamp.
That would have been you 100 years ago.
Yeah. But no, very cool.
Amazing.
So let's just get back into it. So, following the victory to the Miners, Finn, what story? So obviously you kind of touched on this earlier, but I don't know much about the victory to Miners. I mean,
Yeah.
my dad lived in somewhere called Bedwellty. No, not Bedwellty, Markham. I get them mixed up. Markham, and there was only one bloke who just didn't strike, and every single day there'd be fights. There'd be all argy-bargy millions of police outside his front door.
Yeah.
So that's the bit I know. That's the only bit of the miners' strike I know about.
Mhm.
Can you tell me a bit more about the type of story, the main type of headline you were trying to tell with the victory to the miners runway show? Because obviously there's a lot of different subheadings, should I say?
Absolutely.
In
Yeah.
the miners' strike. What was the main headline you were trying to tell with the victory to the miners runway show?
Yeah. First and foremost, not political. As an individual, I'm not into politics at all, and the brand is certainly not a political statement in any way, shape or form. And unfortunately, the whole mining thing can be seen as very left-wing and political, whereas that's not what it is for me. It's all about celebrating Welsh heritage. The Miners' Lamp, for me, is a symbol of Welsh history rather than a political statement. So that's the first thing to say for sure. But I think I've just answered the question there. It's, it was about celebrating Welsh history and honouring the people that almost built this country.
Because I guess, obviously, behind it there was a lot of trauma, but also a lot of pride, is the way you're saying, a lot of pride that it was over
Yeah,
now,
absolutely.
and we don't have to live like that anymore.
Mhm.
But also, because if you think about it, it's still affecting some mining communities to this day.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the thing that I took from it, as I touched on earlier, both of all my family's from the Welsh Valley, so I've grown up with these stories of, the miners' strike. Like, for example, my granddad, so my dad's father, he wasn't paid for years because of the strikes. Imagine that, growing up and your family weren't bringing in any money. Like, it'd just be horrific. You couldn't eat, couldn't live. So I've grown up with these stories, but I think the thing that I take from it is the whole sense of togetherness, belonging and community.
Yeah.
And that's something that I really want to install into the brand, and I think we've done, and I think we're going to continue to do, because Welsh heritage is all built on community, and I think that's one thing we're very lucky of having in South Wales is everyone has a community, even though they're all sort of different. We all do have a community, and we all sort of do stick together generally.
Yep. And honestly, as you said earlier, according to basically everything, that show became the biggest. That show became the biggest fast show ever in Welsh history.
Yeah.
What was going through your head on that day?
It was a very special day. For 1,000%, it was the best thing that I've done within the brand so far. It was all for charity. It was all for City Hospice, and it was just purely to celebrate history and to do some good. You know, it wasn't anything else apart from that. But I wouldn't even say the word is lucky, because I feel like the concept was so strong and the work that went into it. We got out what we deserved. You know, it was covered by BBC News, S4C. We honestly, looking back on it now, it was an unbelievable thing, and it was just, on the day, it was so exciting. You know, I remember looking out the window, because it was in a place called Cornerstone in the city centre, which is somewhat hidden away. It's a big church. And the queue of people coming in, I was just like, oh my God, this is unbelievable. And we were just through practice and, you know, preparation, everything went perfectly. And the concert that we had there, this is quite a funny story. So my idea from day one was, right, I want a Welsh male voice choir to sing as the models are walking down the runway. And the person who was doing the choreography for the show, who's one of my best mates, who's an actual model himself, Lucas Edwards, he was like, Ioan, it's never going to work, you know, the timing's never going to work. And I was like, trust me, it's going to work.
You're going to make it work.
And it was only until we actually did it there and then, because we didn't have a practice with the male voice choir, because they refused to practice with us because they wanted to watch the rugby earlier in the day. And it was spot on. We had people in the front row crying with just pure emotion, because it was just perfect. Like as the models were finishing up walking, the Welsh national anthem was playing, and it was you couldn't write it. Like, it was just unbelievable. And I'm going to struggle to top that. I will, but I'm going to try.
And do you remember, so you said the Welsh national anthem, was there any other songs playing when the actual...
Yeah. It was.
There any other songs playing when the actual runway show was on?
Yeah. It was all just old Welsh hymns. You know, your classics, your Calon Land, etc.
Sosman Bach.
Yeah, all that jazz. Yeah.
But so tell me a little bit about the story behind the little collier now. Was drawing well. I'm not gonna say who bikes. I guess you'll see in the story now. But tell me a bit about the story about the little collier.
So the story is really interesting, and so I launched Cambrensis 3 years ago. 3 years ago this month, funny enough. But I've also been completing a degree alongside it. So the last 2-3 months have actually been our first proper months as a business, really. And we were looking for a campaign to do as I was finishing my degree, to really kickstart Cambrensis again and to get the eyes on us that we had through the fashion show, you know, 6 months prior. And I was looking through my great uncle's archive, Ioan Bowen, who I mentioned earlier, and we came across, myself and Matthew Pearce, who works for the brand, who does marketing for us. We were looking through his archive, and then we came across this image that I've always seen growing up, of the little collier. And I just knew instantly I have to use that, because he's got some sort of really charming look about it as well, and it's very, very memorable, I think, you know. And yeah, the story is absolutely written itself. So the actual little collier was someone called Bert Minard, who 100 years ago dressed as a miner for the Merthyr Tydfil Carnival, which was to raise money for the local hospital. It ran for 25 years and was attended by thousands of people. And yeah, he dressed as a miner and won first prize for like a fancy dress costume. And all of his family still live in Merthyr now, this Bert Minard, and he grew up to be a miner himself. He's now passed away, unfortunately, but the story is it's unbelievable, and I feel like we haven't even touched on half of it as well. And the actual image that my great uncle illustrated was used on plates that my great uncle created himself and hand painted for the 1987 Iddysau Steddfod, where he raised £40,000 for charity.
Wow.
Which back then, was a lot of money. So it's just been used for good, and that's what I want to continue to do within the brand now, is using the little collier to raise money for children's charities.
Do you remember how long after you saw it in the archive, the photo, that you put it on a shirt and decided to launch it properly?
It was very quick, very, very quick. I think it's just down to my experience that I'm able to create stuff really quickly, but I think, it all just fell into place, and then we hosted an event in Cardiff to launch it in October, which was really successful as well, where we showed a short fashion film which was narrated by BBC legend Roy Noble, who was actually a friend of my great uncle. It's all worked out really, really well, and as I said, I wanted to use it long term in the brand.
Now let's get back into the grind of building a brand like this. So what's the hardest part? I guess you've touched on this already, but what's the hardest part of running a heritage menswear label today?
I think there's so many barriers. A lot of them are obvious. I think a lot of people say to me, do you think the whole Welsh identity is going to let you down? But I completely disagree. I think it's the thing that's going to set us apart. So I think that's first and foremost. But I think there's just the standard stuff then. It's money. That's the hardest part. It's a very expensive game. There's generally a lot of waste, even though we're very good with sustainability and stuff. We have very little waste generally. But I mean, in terms of, you can spend, for example, £100 on a jacket sample and then it not be what you want, and then that's then almost useless to you in the sense of, it's not your vision, even though you can obviously use it and stuff, and it doesn't go in the bin for sure. But you know what I'm saying? It's just not what you want, it kind of thing. But I think, it's the money thing. It's getting people to put their hands in their pockets. It's a very difficult time at the moment, as everyone knows. But I think there's a thing that's kind of unspoken about as well. Is, I know a lot of people. I really do, and that's what this label has given me. It's made me into someone. I'm now someone because of it, and which is great, and it's something I wanted. And I've been able to meet hundreds and hundreds of people through this, and I just don't want it to stop. But I think it's so hard to get people to support you consistently. I think that's one really tough thing, because at the end of the day, and it's not their fault, like, they don't get it, they don't understand how hard it can be. And even just sharing your social media posts, commenting, liking, it can make the world a difference. You know what I'm saying? But I can't really complain too much. The people around me have been fabulous. But yeah, it's just all those things combined, and it can be tough because you're juggling so much stuff at the same time. Yeah,
and obviously Cambrensis has grown really, really fast, and it's crazy how much of there is support and so much demand for this type of thing. What's been the biggest pinch me moment?
I think it was definitely our fashion show in February. I think so, because we just, no one could touch us. We'd done it all. No one could reach us. The attention that we had from it, the momentum was just unbelievable. And I'm generally, I would say, quite humble. I don't get ahead of myself. I'm very self-critical, which is a very good thing in my opinion. So on that night, I never, I wasn't out all night celebrating or anything like that. I just went straight to bed, and I was just like, tomorrow's a new day. We got to plan for what's next, kind of thing. Yeah. Do you know what I'm saying?
And so, what's your dream collab? I was thinking Big Pit X Cambrensis, but what is your dream collab for Cambrensis?
Oh, it's a good question. I've never really thought about that. Maybe something along the lines of an Adidas Special or a CP company would be the dream, I suppose.
Yeah, I can imagine that.
But I think I've never really thought about that because of how far ahead that is.
Yeah, but what makes Welsh creativity different from anywhere else in the world? And what makes the Welsh heritage so important from anywhere else in the world?
I can't really speak for the whole creativity thing because everyone has different visions and does different stuff. Obviously, my vision has just been, as I've said, is all of Welsh heritage because of just my upbringing, really. But I think in terms of, as you were saying, the whole Welsh history, Welsh heritage thing, our heritage and history is so strong, and it's something that's not really talked about enough outside of South Wales, in my opinion. And I feel like, especially, I've got a lot of friends now in North Wales. They don't fully understand our history in some ways the same way that we don't understand their history and heritage of like slates, etc.
Yeah,
you know.
that's what I was saying, I guess, because obviously up there, I mean, from having half a family up there and then half a family down here, you can see the same things between each other. You can see the ties, but you can see a lot of difference. I mean, up there, you can travel somewhere, I mean, like 30-minute drive anywhere over North Wales, you can still feel very deserted. Where obviously I'm from the valleys, I can drive 30 minutes up to Cardiff, I won't feel deserted at all. So North Wales is obviously surrounded by, I mean, I had Sage Todd's on last Friday. Well, last Friday when this comes out now, but when I recorded it was yesterday. That's usually it can be very deserting, but you've got to explore, and that's where the slate quarries and the, as we say in Welsh, pucklaw, and the slate quarries and the mining quarries kind of tie in together. And I guess, and that's one of the biggest things I think is very important to Wales. I mean, I don't know if you feel the same.
Yeah, 100%. And we got to celebrate our history and our past to inform the future. You know.
Yep. So now it's time for one of my favourite bits of the show, game time. So it's just quick fire round, just answer questions basically, but let's just get straight into it. What's the favourite piece of clothing you own?
Wow. If I had to pick, I'd probably say at the moment, it's definitely this jacket I'm wearing here. So warm and the design is beautiful, and obviously it's made by us. I couldn't say another brand, could I?
No. What's your go-to, I mean, this sounds very I'm saying this as a tourist or something, but what's your go-to Welsh snack?
Yeah, I've got to say Welsh cakes, you know, I've got to.
Mountains or coast?
Wow. Probably at the moment coast, because I live in Barry, but you can't beat a good mountain, can you?
Who do you think, and who do your family and friends think your celeb look like is?
I always get Paddy the Baddie.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Have you ever watched This Country on BBC iPlayer?
Yeah.
I think she looked a bit like her.
Yeah. And funny enough, right? I don't know if you know this. He used to be a model for like loads of luxury brands, which is really cool.
Yeah.
He's proper into his fashion as well, so I'll take that.
Yeah. If you could have any designer's archive for a day, whose would you pick?
I think I would choose probably Gary Asden's archive, who is the founder of Adidas Special.
Do you remember your first? It says first fashion memory, but do you remember the first piece of fashion you owned?
Yes, it was a CP Company jacket. And it was in like this nylon navy fabric, and I remember I returned it to the shop because the back of it raised up higher than the front and it felt really weird. But yeah, that's my first ever piece, and I think a lot of CP used to be like that, and it's changed a lot in the last 5 years or so.
Yeah.
I would say CP Company is my favourite brand.
And what's the best place in Wales for inspiration?
Merthyr.
Definitely. So here's type of big question now. If every Cambrensis garment, it says garment, but any piece of clothing you've ever created was a superpower, which piece would be the most powerful?
Which piece? Well, like individual piece?
Yeah.
That's a good question. Probably the Penadaran jacket, which is over there. It's that navy one. It's got really cool zips on it and stuff. That's my favourite piece that I've ever created. I'm sure you can get a photo of that for a reel.
Definitely. So it's time for our third and fourth song now. So here it is, requested by Ioan himself. And that was the third and fourth song requested by Ioan. But let's just get straight back into it. So what's next? So what can we expect from Cambrensis in the next year?
I think this time next year I want to be in a really good place. You know, my ultimate goal is to become, you know, the #1 fashion house in Wales. That's the ultimate goal. But I think you know, we can make a big step towards that in the next year for sure. You know, I think if we're going the way we are and the momentum we have behind us and my drive, because that's what carries this brand is my drive. I'm here every single day. I don't have any days off, and that's by choice. I'm not complaining. I enjoy it. You know, I think we're going to be in a crazy position next time of year, and especially the stuff that we have planned. Yeah, just got to keep going. I'm very ambitious as a person. I'm not going to stop until we get there, really.
And any new drops, pop-ups, or runaway plans?
Yes, and yes.
Runaway plans, sorry.
Yeah. Yes, and yes. There's not a lot I can say at the moment because things are up in the air, but you know, I think we have to do another runway show at some point. Maybe not in the next year, because we need to keep them exclusive. If we're doing them all the time, it becomes boring. You know, I feel like that's our unique selling point, because someone like us, in terms of a menswear brand, don't really do that. And I think that's what kind of sets us apart in a way. Everyone, normal lads, can just come to an event like that and enjoy it and appreciate it, rather than it be really quite upmarket and, you know, quite select on who's there sort of thing. So I think that's what I want to do definitely in the future at some point. We've got loads of pop-up shops planned. We're non-stop up until Christmas now. We're travelling Wales and part of England as well, doing pop-up shops up until Christmas. And yeah, just keep going really. But as I said, it's all about money. We need to bring money in to be able to grow and to create new product.
Oh, and any collabs you got coming up?
There's always talks of new collaborations. You know, I have people approaching me for collaborations, and the other way around as well. They're hard because you're having to work with so many different people with different skill sets and different experiences. So that's what's tough about collaborations. But if you do the correct ones, like for example, this collaboration now we're doing with Magnetic Book, written by Cardiff City fan Tony Rivers. You know, he's been absolutely brilliant so far. It's been on sale for about a month now, and we've got some really exciting plans for it. For example, we're about to film a short fashion film in Viasani's cafe in Merthyr, which is one of the last Italian original cafes remaining in the South Wales Valleys. So yeah, it just depends on who you work with, but I love collaborations because they add a different identity to the brand.
And where can people buy this new magnet? Oops. Let's put that there. And where can people buy the new Magnetic Book from?
So our collaboration with Magnetic can be purchased on our website on a pre-order at the moment. And yeah, we'll see where it goes. I'm not sure if we're going to stock it properly yet. I don't know. We'll see.
Cool. Where can people find and follow Cambrensis?
We're just at Cambrensis on all social media platforms. And as I said, yeah, our website is cambrensis.co.uk. Yeah, give us a follow.
Cool. And anyone you want to shout out?
Probably Matthew Pearce, Brandon Richards, who hosts our podcast, Lucas Edwards, who is our in-house model. Yeah, got a great team around us. I'm very lucky. Cool.
Thank you for watching Someone's Lives Lounge. I've been joined by Ioan Bowen Pickett, the founder of Cambrensis. In my opinion, one of my favourite Welsh heritage fashion brands. But yeah, thank you for watching. Stay gassed, stay tuned, and stay live lounge. Cheers.